Hey everybody, welcome back to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series off-season. We're getting ready to hit the land really hard in February 21st and 22nd, but for 4 weeks we're going to have a King of the Hill revitalization. Here to bring me alongside the action is Zumo QT, also known as TJ Sanders. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty well. I've finally gone outside since Undertaker was nerfed, so I've seen the sunlight, and I feel like I have a new outlook on life.
That's right. It's a really good point to bring up. This week, the patch is live for the Undertaker nerf, so it's interesting to see how players will go about building the decks. And once again, we're going to have a new challenge to bring to the table. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Master Builder King of the Hill series, think very similar to Iron Chef or Master Chef that you've seen on Western television very popularly. Every player has to bring 3 decks. It's going to be a best of 5 last year standing with no bans. But we're going to require them to have a secret ingredient. And this week's secret ingredient is
7 different legendaries, and each of those legendaries has to have a different mana cost. And of course, those 7 different legendaries and the theme of 7 in general
is in honor
of Seventh Son, which is a movie that's actually sponsoring us today.
That's right.
And the $7,000 prize pool is actually because of them. So it's really exciting stuff, and that's why you'll see a lot of 7, the number 7 things today. I'm actually wearing 7 pairs of underwear, too.
Ah, that's good. Well, I did notice the bulge, but that finally explains it, because I was like, TJ, that wasn't there before. You didn't go through surgery. Well, we do want to let you guys know about this stolen prize money rule that's also going on. What happens is, because we recognize that the prize pool has inflated a lot, we didn't want to penalize players for simply getting the role of being later in the day. So what we offered them was a bounty. If you defeat a player, you get 25% of their prize pool just taken away from them. So let's say TJ wins 2 series, and then I beat him in match number 3. Then I would get $500 because it's 250 times 2 since it's 25%. And then that would be given to me, and that can't get taken away from me. If I win 1 series, the next person takes $250 from me, and not counting that $500. It sounds a little bit complicated, but it's pretty much once you figure it out, it's very straightforward. You just can't take stolen money, and this is a way for people who play later on in the day to have an opportunity to win some big bucks.
Yeah, definitely. It makes it so that if you play earlier in the day, you have a chance to win more money, but if you play later in the day, you have a better chance of moving on to the week after.
Right, and you still have a decent amount of money to be made. I think Tide, well, this was Tide's idea. I want to credit him.
He was, I wonder
he
why.
didn't. He said this even before he got the list order, so he was like, ah. But we're gonna be having 7 matches for you today, for the honor of the 7th Son. We have Dog versus Hype to start things off, and the winner of that match we're going to play 6-0. And we have Trump, Reynad, Tides of Time, Koyuki, and Tiddler Celestial. Originally, we announced Tiddler was going to start off the day, but we're just waiting for him, so that way we're just being a little bit safer in this ends. And then, of course, not to mention that Koyuki is also currently playing, I believe, a Magic the Gathering tournament. But since he's trying to honor his position of being the king, he's going to try to make it for one of those last matches as well. So that's why the scheduling is a little bit odd, but only this week is the anomaly.
Yeah, it's a lot of big-name players, and we're going to see how the Undertaker nerf affects things, but it's going to be a little bit different because we have a different format, of course. 7 different legendaries, 7 different costs. It can affect a lot of decks, and it's going to be interesting to see what these guys can come up with as far as creativity, as far as realizing what decks will be strong with this type of format. So it's going to be cool.
Well, it's because every single deck that plays control that has like a late game legendary oriented deck runs out of ideas after the 4th or 5th legendary. Because let's just break it down. There's at 5 mana slot, people will probably run Lotheb or Harrison Jones.
Yep.
And then 6, you have like Sylvanas or a Black Knight or something else that's unique maybe to that slot. And then 7, you have Dr. Boom, maybe Baron Geddon. And then 8, you have like Ragnaros or Sneeze, Kael'Thuzad. 9, you have like Ysera and Cenarius. I'm saying a lot of terms here, so I hope you guys can understand. But after those 5, it's like, do I add a Deathwing? Because it's 10? Or it's like, do I start dipping into Thalnos territory? It's like, well, what class don't even really use that? Like, does Warrior use Thalnos even really? Like
Nat Pagal even?
Exactly, like Nat Pagal. Do I use a Tink Master? Do I throw in a King Mukla? Or, I don't know. Like, some people have different ideas as well of what to do. Maybe Baron Rivendare if they're trying to go really crazy, right, in 4 mana slots. Maybe they play Murlocs. I don't know. These are all possible. But it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. Our first match today will be Dog versus Hyped coming up in just a few minutes. So we're going to take a couple seconds to reset. When we come back, we're going to have our first match of the day. All right, we're back and we're getting ready for our first match of the day. Dog versus Hype, Complexity versus Tempo Storm. It was announced earlier this week, in fact, also, that Dog will be traveling with Tempo Storm to go to a China event happening at the end of February, which is cool. So this is, today they're rivals and enemies, but, well, in a few weeks, several tomorrows from now, they'll be allies for a little bit of time. So maybe it's a sneak peek of what we'll be able to see with them, too.
Yeah, it's pretty common for even players from cross teams to practice with each other, and now it's cool to see. I guess I could say you guys bringing him along to compete. So that's a good thing to see. Collaboration is just increases the level of the whole scene. So
Absolutely. And helping us collaborate with us is the great sponsors that have been with us throughout the season. We want to thank Newegg, Cooler Master, Western Digital, and Crucial for all their support in Season 1. They've been doing a great job, and if you want to support us, the best way to do is to connect with them through the link below. We also have Plantronics signing on towards the end of the sponsor. They've been giving away lots of cool things like 2 rig headsets that you see all the time in those IEM montages. Those big headsets that said rig. Those are from Plantronics. They're giving away 2 of those, as well as 50 expert packs from the classic set of Hearthstone. You can get some of those digital codes and input them to Battle.net. You'll find out how throughout the broadcast. But today is mainly about the Seventh Son, the movie that's coming out. It's already going to be on my radar because I don't really know too much about what's going on. But as soon as I saw it was sponsoring this event, it definitely caught my attention.
Yeah, it gets released February 6th. So if you guys want to help support esports, I guess, and watch a really great movie, you guys go ahead and check it out. It's got some big stars in it too as well, so it should be good.
It's made by Legendary Films, which is actually like a couple streets down from where we are. So maybe we should invite them to come watch the broadcast, hang out with us.
Maybe we should. Legendary Films?
Yeah, maybe we should submit our movie, that script that we've been working on, to them at the Hearthstone land. February 21st, 22nd. Guys, you come hang out with us here in the Burbank studio, and maybe come read TJ and my movie script that we've been drafting.
Yeah, and maybe you can actually act in it.
Yeah, a live reenactment of the script, right?
Yeah, I love some LARP.
Yeah, but the nude scene will have to work out some details on that. I don't know if we fully fleshed that out.
Yeah, we're still accepting applications.
All right, so first match, Dog versus Hyped, coming up in just a second. We have the classes here written down for us. What do we have specifically for this lineup, TJ, as we get ready to get these players underway?
So notice the trend over the course of the day. Lots of Druid and Rogue, which seems to be sort of similar to the ladder right now as well. Dog is bringing Druid, Hunter, and Rogue, and Hyped has Druid, Rogue, and Mage. So you can actually see the classes there on your screen, with this match played here. So it's going to be Druid versus Rogue, and this is sort of an interesting first matchup because this is sort of both of these guys, I guess, sort of signature classes. Dog with the Druid and Hyped with the Rogue.
It doesn't surprise me, in fact, because both these players like a lot of the class that they're playing, right? We saw Dog climb the ladder with Rogue recently, and has been pretty aggressive with like taking some high legend spots with it. But of course, Ramp Druid is something iconic to Dog now. And meanwhile, Hyped is a Rogue and Mage specialist. Those are 2 classes he absolutely adores. I wonder, like, how do you fit the 7 legendaries in a class like Mage?
Oh no!
How do you fit 7 legendaries in a class like Hunter?
Yeah, Rogue seems to be the best because these are sort of have a natural progression. Like Blood Mage at 2, they already run. Van Cleef at 3, already mostly run. Then you have Loatheb, Trade Prince, Dr. Boom, Ragnaros. It's pretty much a natural progression of legendaries. So it seems like Rogue would be a popular choice. Druid as well. I guess they can fit lots in. I mean, I think they'd have to cut from their 7 slot. You were talking about that a little bit earlier to fit a 7-mana legendary in there. I guess some already run Dr. Boom, but maybe not as popular as some other classes. It's going to be tough to say.
Sure. We'll see in a couple of minutes here. We've got a notification that Mage is actually the first choice here from Hyped. We're not going to be seeing, I think it was Rogue that looked like on screen. It is last hero standing, and even though everyone's more accustomed to ESL format, which had the lineup submission followed by blind pick phase, the 2 phases of the ESL format, we felt like, last hero standing is king of the hill by nature, right?
Yeah.
So we felt like that's what it is. Pretty excited that Blizzard's also recently announced a new format for the year. Last hero standing, in my opinion, was definitely run its course. It serves a great purpose to show some cool decks that it's easy format to understand. But Conquest is the new format as well, which looks exciting. Have you got an opportunity to see that at all, TJ?
I was reading a little bit about that earlier, and it's going to be interesting to see just how like tournament format evolves and what's going to become the standard.
Well, I mean, that is the standard for this year.
Yeah.
Everyone will probably adapt a similar format to Conquest in the upcoming months. I imagine DreamHacks and then any other events that happens from this point on, whether it's like Assembly, which just happened. We'll see. But for now, one more time, we're going to be doing Last Hero Standing to see how it will run its course. The Master Builder King of the Hill Week 2 is about to begin with Dog versus Hyped. Let's get into game number 1.
Yeah, this is so a little bit different than what we first had said. It's going to be Druid versus Mage here. And you said it. I'm curious to see what legendaries he's actually going to fit in here. And right off the bat, I guess we see 2 of them. So Ysera, that's going to be his 9-drop legendary. Kel'Thuzad is going to be 8-drop. So it looks to be more of like a control-ish mage.
Right, but he's got a Noyotron. Actually, you're right. I think it's more of that control mage. But it has like the echo of Medivh, right? And it has those really interesting, weird dynamics. Does it have duplicate, so that way, you know, it scales? And Noyotron, is that just a way to be defensive, or is that legitimate mech synergy in a deck? That's where we want to challenge the players, because if you're changing 4 or 5 cards because you need to insert more legendaries than normal, you do change a pretty significant portion of the deck's identity.
I like a Noyotron, not even with just mech synergy, but as a defensive way to protect some of your important early game stuff. Like I've been playing a lot of Controlless Mage that has like a Mana Worm just to get them through those early stages, and just having a Mana Worm and a Noyotron can get you all the way to turn 5 or turn 6 without taking much damage.
Sure, makes sense. Well, Wild Growth has a player going first is pretty much ideal here in a matchup that's pretty slow. But is the matchup going to be that much slower? Because even though Dog can ramp up, he's going to be the one that will eventually take initiative, and ultimately the player that has the slower and bigger threats over time will be the one that has the final say. So I'm not even going to pretend like I know what's going to happen exactly because of how things pan out.
No, and I mean, there could be some legendaries in these guys' deck that shake things up. You think off the top of your head, Cenarius probably going to be included in this Druid deck. Maybe Lotheb's going to be included, but there could be like Rag, Dr. Boom. There's a couple in here that could be pretty impactful. BGH, I think, is an auto-include in this format, as much as it's already been an auto-include in most decks.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because you feel like the metagame would slow down and be more aggressive. The legendaries are skewed to be more oriented around the late game centric cards.
Yeah, the early drops, you're pretty much limited to like Blood Mage if you want to go for like a sub 3 drop, and there's like Lorewalker Cho and
Lorewalker Cho. Oh man. That would be kind of hilarious to see that.
Blingtron.
That would be like a 6-0 thing to do. 6-0 bringing like Lorewalker Cho again.
That'd be pretty exciting.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a card that it doesn't seem to give one person like a clear advantage. It entirely depends on the matchup.
Well, it gives the player that doesn't have spells an advantage. So like, for example, people used to experiment with in the zoo. But even if you put like a Lorewalker Cho in Zoo, it's like you still have to put in other legendary minions, like 7 of them. I don't know. Well, I don't know if we'll see a lot of Warlocks today, for sure. Dog going for a little bit of board clear. He sees some cards, right? Like he sees the Noyotron, he sees the Pilot Shredder, but he realizes in the back of his mind, he says, well, there has to be legendaries in this deck, so it has to scale accordingly.
Yeah, and he's probably getting the read right now that it could be just straight up Mech Mage with maybe a little bit of a slower start. Because sometimes you just get caught with like the Goblin Blast Mages in your hand early on. So he might be thinking that this mage is a lot faster than it actually is. But it's actually really slow, it seems. Saw Kel'Thuzad, saw Ysera, which is pretty much the epitome of slow.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a card advantage, war of attrition type of thing.
I wonder.
Hyped a little bit into an awkward situation just because that shade is still growing. He can easily snipe that, and then doesn't have any semblance of board control. But it's still not. It's still far from over. I really wonder about other tech cards too. Like if this becomes a thing and Hype gets mind control tech, and you know, our people are going to be playing those swing cards. Because MCT is just so big.
Yeah.
Like, it has such a huge impact sometimes.
It was never something that people used to play around other than maybe in Arena. But now it's always got to be in the back of your head. Druids put it in all the time. Even, like, mid-range Paladin puts it in a whole bunch.
Right.
Blood Mage Thalnos.
Well, it makes sense in Druid to have some spell power with Swipe and Wrath. That's about it, as far as I know.
Back in the early days of Ramp Druid, I guess not even the early days, when Ramp Druid was popular a long time ago, before even the official release of the game, players were putting in Blood Mage Thanos just for that synergy with the early removal.
Right. Well, I have to imagine that Hype feels very tempted to drop Mirror Entity this turn.
Yeah.
Just because it's starting to develop late into the mana curve. but it's all about what he feels they can follow this up with. Is it going to be Lotheb? Lotheb would stay alive to a couple of hits, forcing more attacks out of just the one. So I feel like that's his strongest overall bet, considering Pilot Shredder could easily be taken out just by a Keeper and a Hero Power.
Yeah, there's always the risk with Mirror Entity, though, that if you're playing it when you're really far behind on board, your opponent has a lot of opportunities to check for other secrets, and then you might end up getting just like a Zombie Chow or something really insignificant, and you fall even further behind.
Yeah, that's a really good point, too. I wonder how many people are going to bring cards like Zombie Chow, because, I mean, do you need it to fight against a place where Undertaker is a lot weaker now?
And in a place where you have to fit 7 legendaries, and you were talking about earlier, the legendary power level is so skewed towards the higher end legendaries. 7 drops, 8 drops, 9 drops.
Oh, actually, I guess that answers our question.
Well, yeah. I would actually expect to see Zombie Chow more in the Druid than I would in the Mage.
This is a very interesting deck.
It really
already
is.
I mean, Hyped is one of those players who he is well documented saying that Mage and Rogue are his 2 favorite classes.
What to do?
And that he's playing so much with them. It's only a matter of time before we start seeing players like him experiment even more in this kind of format.
Yep.
So, looks like Dog is hit pretty dry. He needs Agent of Lore. He doesn't get it, but he does have another powerful minion.
Savage Roar.
Oh man, what if this Pilot Shredder puts out like a really powerful minion? That's actually really annoying.
Yeah, that's pretty problematic.
You have to hero power that down too.
Unless you already have the ability to trade into the Amani Berserker, it's one of the best things that you can get from Piloted Shredder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 5 damage to the face that he's taking out.
Now both Keepers has been used, which is really good if you're in Hype's position and you're not threatened to die, just because of actually, hold on, Ysera. But I realize he might die if he just draws Force of Nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ancient of Lore is actually an excellent draw as well.
He's actually got double Innervate as well, so he's got the potential to make some really huge
Two
plays.
Innervates and Sylvanas.
That's a huge board.
Absolutely massive.
Since he has the Ysera, it's pretty problematic because even if he had ways to like remove this board with like AoE, like a Flame Strike, it would still be tough for him to be able to cleanly get himself back into this game. He might think that he's pretty safe from the combo, because this is it seems like heavy Ramp Druid, and fitting all these legendaries in there could be hard while still being able to preserve the combo in the deck to fit it into the deck.
Well, actually, I think Hype can't survive anymore. He can't get past his Ancient of Lore. And he doesn't have any... His Laughing Sister was actually the weakest draw he could have gotten here. If he got Dream or Ysera Awakens, that would have been more useful,
Yeah.
I think.
Even Ysera Awakens could have been pretty rough. He would have just given his opponent... I mean, yeah, he would have given his opponent Ysera.
That's true.
He could
Would have been tough.
Kel'Thuzad and then Ysera Awakens. But then no, he couldn't do that because he would have the potential to steal Kel'Thuzad and res everything he just killed.
But, I mean, the Savage Roar alone is enough to kill him. You might not even need it if he just gets swipe off the top. It's so much damage right there. Yeah, like scenarios. He doesn't have to show Savage Roar, which is a very powerful move.
Yeah.
And then, of course, keep that information from Hypes. So this is going to be game number 1, going over to Dog, and Ramp Druid just pretty much getting off to an excellent start with the Wild Growth. As a result, Mage just fell too far behind.
And the big thing, like you mentioned there, he did not show the Savage Roar. So I said it, this deck seems very slow from Dog. Fitting all those legendaries in there, you probably assume, if you were Hype, well, you can never really assume, but he'd probably is leaning towards Dog not playing the combo. So
Sure.
that could be a big thing later on that could swing a match in his favor.
Well, it's one thing that you're never entirely sure, so it might be one of the things you play around for a while, and then it's not even there. But, you know, it's one of those cases, too, where, you know, you feel like you can't play around it, otherwise you're just going to lose the game, so you just feel forced anyways. We'll see if Hype can bounce back immediately. He has his own Druid, and he also has Rogue. Now, I'm not so sure about where Rogue sits nowadays. I feel like it's really powerful. Depends on how you choose to build it. If you play more of the control Rogue, the biggest thing that was going against you are aggressive decks like Hunter, which can burn you, and you're using your weapon to attack face anyways, and trade. it felt very weak. But nowadays, against control decks, Rogue actually seems pretty sick, considering that you can make some really big power plays with preparation, and it allows you to grab an extreme amount of board control while still putting out legendaries. Like, you can Dr. Boom, prep, eviscerate, and use like an existing weapon to clear 2 minions. It's very, very powerful.
And you can make huge tempo plays as well with sap. Like, if you get ahead on board,
exactly.
which it allows you to just have control of the game, and then your opponent's in a position where they can't play huge drop because of the threat of saps, and so it just sort of snowballs out of control from there, and sometimes you can just win games like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to see if Dog can keep up this momentum. It seems like game number 1 was very systematic and straightforward for him. That Ancient Lord draw was so big.
It really
but
was.
More importantly, it was that follow-up with like a really powerful minion like Sylvanas with no answer back from Hyped. Seemed like that mage deck wasn't exactly the best either in terms of how it was operating against Druid, so maybe Rogue will have a better chance.
Yeah, I'm definitely known for his Rogue. A few weeks ago, he was the only player during one of the weeks of the Legendary Series to actually bring Rogue, and of course Rogue's a lot more popular now. You talked about some of the reasons why. A little bit of a slower meta, it seems. And they're having quite a bit more success right now. A couple players have reached rank.
Whoa, what? He's playing Old Murkai? Oh my god, is Old Murkai like his equivalent of Leroy and he's playing Miracle? Like Miracle Control?
Oh man. The classic Old Murkai oil rogue is what this is.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe it's oil. Tinkmaster, also something that doesn't heavily surprise me, but in Druid it would be like, it would definitely not synergize as well. You have a lot of minions that if it hits, it would weaken it.
Yeah.
Any scenario.
Old Murkai could fit like the South Sea Deckhand slot.
Right.
As far as like the burn goes, I know a lot of players use South Sea Deckhand also as a utility card for like hunter traps or something, but...
Oh man, here we go, Tinkmaster. I mean, expected result of Tinkmaster is 3-3 anyways. He's so scared.
That's a big variation when there's only one creature on the board.
Shade. There's just no point.
Yeah, because if you get a 5/5, that's disastrous.
Yeah. Disastrous
playing-
is definitely the right word.
Yeah.
Well, Dog's a little flustered. Because Hyped chose to put Murkai in the deck.
Hit him with the old Murkai.
It wasn't an accident.
Oh,
Look at Hyped, blinking innocently. Looking handsome as always. Well, look, Dog's rocking himself.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Stone-faced.
Now it's like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. This is something that I wanted to see, by the way. I wanted to see cool innovation like this. Or, I guess, restriction.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the most innovative thing ever.
Hype needs his DOA glasses. Just a string hanging from the ceiling. Just drops down his glasses when he plays Old Murkai.
Dang, I want to see Old Murkai do something more, but
Yeah.
it's like we'll have to have him sit out for now. Meanwhile, Dog has the full combo in his hand of Force of Nature and Savage Roar, so that's a late game potential that he has if Rogue trades too much with the hero power. Of course, this turn will be setting up for a powerful 6 and 7 with the coin. Oh man, that respect.
Yeah.
That respect for the Azure Drake.
Yeah.
And that is a great draw from Hype to follow it up with another Azure Drake. That's really bad actually, considering that Dog basically gave up his turn to respond and now has to do the same.
Yeah, you sort of have to respect even just moderate-sized bodies from a rogue, because you throw that in taunt mode, it gets backstab eviscerated, or
Right.
even just with the Azure Drake on the board, it could just get any card plus an eviscerate and then a weapon into it. You lose just so much momentum and so much tempo by doing that, by putting in taunt mode like that. Sometimes you can't do that. And now, see, he's got double sap in his hand. He's got so much room.
You can straight up remove it too.
Yeah.
If only he had prep, because if he had prep with the sap and Dr. Boom, like we mentioned, the power play on that is enormous.
Yeah.
There's so many cards that synergize with the Rogue in terms of the spell power too. That's why the Azure Drake is so big,
Yeah.
and Thanos naturally fits. Hence why I think Rogue is just almost a no-brainer. I feel like Rogue is probably the class that's most likely to be brought, but Druid also seems to be up there as well.
Yeah, I mean, right now he could just backstab, Phantom Knives, Eviscerate to
Sure,
just clear
Shiv.
this off the board. Shiv as well. Phantom Knives seems to be the more likely choice because you don't need the AoE as much. I mean, you might want to save it for like a second Shade, but it's pretty unlikely at this point. And you want to cycle and get the higher mana card out of the way, it seems, first. But he's going to shoot.
Yeah, you never know. You have a Thanos in the deck that might actually be useful. Second Eviscerate might make you more willing to part with the first one. I think I still would like to see... well, I guess you can save the Phantom Knives as this weapon now since you have Deadly Poison.
Yep.
I was thinking I do like to see a cycle because I think I want to see a better play for next turn if you don't have an opportunity to Dr. Boom. But
I think if he held on to the Phantom Knives there in the first place, he was wanting to hold on to it anyway.
sure. And this is the position that Rogue wants to leverage because if Dog uses this to draw, which is what Ancient of Lore normally does, most likely another way that you can probably deal with the Ancient of Lore, and then you're working with like 17 health or 10 health, and it's just you're very scared. And Dog plays a lot of Rogue, so he knows that he's very far behind in the tempo, and he needs to draw something big off of this Ancient of Lore.
Yeah, I was watching Dog's stream. It might have even been yesterday, and he was playing against a lot of Rogue as Druid, and he was just losing over and over again. It seemed like he was losing to the same thing over and over again, where he'd just get behind on tempo, and then he would just lose.
Ooh, that is interesting. A Gallywix.
I said it earlier, it feels pretty good for the progression of legendaries, and Trade Prince Gallywix is a card that some control rogues were putting in anyway.
Do you think he shivved because he wants to kill it with Deadly Poison? Because I was assuming he was going to maybe use Eviscerate, but I guess he's keeping Eviscerate as damage, like a way to finish.
I guess he was just thinking of his options here, but he actually decides to ignore it.
Yeah, well, he's also safe from any Innervate combo range. His opponent would have 21 max. Oh, Dog going for a Tinkmaster play. That would actually be ideal in this scenario to try and reduce it down to a 1-1. The difference between a 5-5 and a 1-1 is unbelievably massive, by the way.
But worst case scenario, you're bringing a 5-8 down
No!
to a 5-5. That's a squirrel.
That is a squirrel. But you know what? There's still pretty significant amount of pressure coming out from Hyped.
Those of you who are new to Hearthstone, Tinkmaster Overspark used to be able to target who you wanted to turn into a squirrel or a
That is
dinosaur.
really cool. A Malygos.
Well, Malygos, it makes sense. If you can have a Malygos survive for a turn, you can get some pretty huge like Blade Flurries or even just spells in general.
Right.
Malygos Miracle Rogue was a thing that was popular. Not as much as Standard Miracle Rogue, but it was around for a while.
By the way, I think Hype now knows that Dog plays combo. There's very little reason to charge Druid the Claw there.
Yeah.
So the aggression shown there, I think Hype will now start playing around combo for a long time. But it doesn't matter. We still have a big game hunter and swipe possibility here. Thanos to... Okay, Thanos so that you can get draw, potentially.
You can actually set up for a... yeah, BGH and swipe face sets up for a following turn lethal.
Assuming this doesn't do like crippling damage. Oh, that's so
Wow.
much! 10 damage to the face.
I would say
Or,
that's...
sorry, 10 damage remaining.
I would say that's pretty close to crippling.
But I don't know if Hype can pull out of this one.
Dog thinks he's dead.
No, but I think Dog actually seems to have weathered the storm. He can't actually... Because now he has combo. There's no way for Hype to actually survive.
Yeah, and Hype's dead. Wow.
It's another win here for the Druid. Probably showing why it's definitely a deck to be feared, but... looks like that's going to be a 2-0 for Dog, and he's one game away. Another shame, just because I want to see more of this Rogue deck. It's got Malygos and it's got old Murkai.
Yeah. It's really smart moves there by Dog, realizing the weaknesses of that matchup against Rogue, and realizing when he needs to just sort of flip the switch and go aggressive. And you notice he was playing defensive the whole game. He was behind on tempo the whole game. charging that Druid Claw into the Azure Drake just to sort of just keep up on board, and charging the second Druid of the Claw as well just to put that damage on the face, have immediate impact.
Sure, sure.
Really good choices.
Well, now Hyped has to 3-0 with his Druid, or else Dog's going to be walking away from the first series with $1,000 in his pocket. And, well, it's just not going to be the way that Hyped wants to start off, but Dog is looking pretty strong. And he's really starting to pick up his play in Hearthstone a lot. I think Dog's been starting to get more involved. He's in his last semester at college or university. He was thinking about getting ready to transition to med school.
Yeah.
But he's doing really well for himself.
Yeah,
so.
he's pre-med, which is pretty impressive.
Highly impressive.
It's tough. It's a very tough thing to do. There's actually a lot of either professional or semi-professional Hearthstone players that are pre-med or have
Very
graduated
intelligent.
pre-med. Yeah, it takes a lot of critical thinking, which is something that I would love to have in a doctor. So I'm glad to see it.
Yeah. We'll see if that's ended up being the case here. As Dog is up 2-0. Druid versus Druid. I'm pretty sure Hype will also bring a ramp. Druid is the most represented class by far. 6 out of the 8 players have brought it. And that is the most represented. What's the second most? Is it Rogue?
It's Rogue or Paladin. I think it's close.
Okay.
No, it's Rogue. It's Rogue.
Rogue has 4.
Paladin also has
5.
4.
It has 5 classes.
Okay, yeah. So it's very close though, and it's pretty much a representation of ladder right now. I think there's a little bit less mages that we're seeing in this format than are on ladder, but
we have 8 classes here today. We're missing Warrior.
Whoa!
Which is hilarious because
Warrior and Warlock are actually are 2 of the most underrepresented class today. Well,
right.
Paladin and Priest and Shaman.
Isn't it hilarious that we said 7 legendaries
and there's
and
no warrior?
There's no warriors? Like, isn't the way to think about it's like I want to play warrior because it naturally fits a lot of legendaries in it.
Well, you think like all their legendaries are like 7+. It's like Baron Geddon, Dr. Boom, Ragnaros, Sneeds, Kel'Thuzad, all 7 and 8.
Right. Well,
King Mukla.
The importance of Hyped to be able to get this King Mukla out is pretty massive. So that way he can seize the tempo, essentially on the board. And from here, the bananas might be a problem, but most likely what the bananas will do will give you like a +1 health trade. And then you can use like a Wrath with an Innervate and then like grab it back. This is assuming that it pans out the way it does.
Yeah.
And already Dog's in a very uncomfortable spot because that 5/5 body is massive. If anyone already has taken away from like what Lotheb and Shield Mage does, just imagine on a 3-mana beat.
Yeah. And if you can play it on an empty board, that's almost, well, not the only time that Mukla is useful, but one of the only times, because usually you can make up the stat cost just with the bananas. But see, if you play it on the empty board, he has to play a Ascension Shieldmaster. He doesn't have time to put those bananas on.
Right. Well, I mean, now it's an opportunity to make up a little bit of that, but it shouldn't stop Hyped from putting on additional pressure.
Yeah.
Because is he really thinking about Keeper? I thought maybe it's because he wants to preserve his Shredder that much more. Oh wow. I was assuming Lotheb, but
there are some high priority targets to Keeper in Druid Ramp Mirror, like Sylvanas or Ancient of War, or even like Shades could be a useful target. But valuing, I mean, playing King Mukla off the start like that is a sort of a sign that you want to keep up with the board control and the tempo. So keeping up with that is pretty good. This is problematic though.
Yeah, we'll see what he gets off the Shredder. Maybe that's not a big deal. Maybe he can just give, like if it's a 1/1.
That's really annoying. He can't really just give that up and then kill it off right away.
No, but he's gonna give it up so that way he can grab it. But to be quite honest, the Haunted Creeper won't really truly matter. Unless he gets Savage Roar.
It's tokens. I mean, tokens that are really sticky, really hard to remove. The dog pose.
Do you save this Black Note, or do you just jump on the opportunity to gain the board? Oh, well, now the question becomes a little bit harder because you have Ancient of Lore now.
Yeah. Unless I have...
And you have Dr. Boom.
Yeah. Usually unless I have overwhelming board control, I like to save my Black Knights in this matchup. Just because Agent of War are just inevitable. And even though you're going to get a lot of momentum from Black Knight early on, especially in heavy ramp Druid, usually it's not enough to just straight up win you the game. So I like to save it as a higher impact play later on. I mean, he's running combo, so that might change his line of play.
The one thing that I do like is I like if you don't play Black Knight, then they assume you don't have it. The one thing though is that I think Hyped realizes Dog still has a banana. So if he did, if he had that banana, he would have buffed the Druid Claw to a 5/7. I think the number one thing that Hyped cares about is not losing the board presence whatsoever. That's why he silenced the Pilot Shredder, the Keeper of the Groove, so that way, I say Keeper of the Groove.
Keeper of the Groove. Give that Keeper of the Grove a keytar. He needs to keep that groove.
ETC. How Dog got his groove back. That's why he silenced it, because he cared so much about having something sticky and board presence-wise. And I think he wants to leverage Savage Roar, like if he draws the Force of Nature as well.
This turn is really weak.
Oh yeah, what happened, man? His deck has so many late-game cards, and Savage Roar to get out of this does not seem ideal whatsoever.
This turn is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Usually when you say that, it's an implication of something good. But in this case, it's really not.
No. Sometimes bananas just go bad. It's a deep metaphor for life.
Ooh, you know, something I also forgot. Oh, okay, never mind, that ain't bananas now. Something I also forgot that, the best way to counter Mukla efficiently is to double banana Big Game Hunter. It used to be a way so that you can seize back the momentum. But and I was thinking, what if he had like Kael'Thuzad and you just bananaed and Big Game Huntered, so that way you can finally deal with it.
Yeah. There used to be I guess it was semi-popular deck on ladder that was like a Mukla Hunter, where you just turn 3 Mukla, turn 4 Houndmaster. It was a really tough play to deal with.
Okay, Dr. Boom is his best tempo play, as opposed to card advantage with the Ancient of Lore. He's going to spread out so that way the Boom bots potentially can do less damage as well. Does he even have to swipe, though? I guess he does.
Yeah. Would much rather in this situation have those Boom bots go towards one of the 1/1s.
Do a lot of damage.
The 4/2 body of the Big Game Hunter. But yeah, he's at 13 health effectively with that.
And he already used his Savage Roar, right? And this deck has to be running only 1 combo. There's no way it's 2, right?
Yeah, 7 legendaries of different costs plus 2 combos is
11 cards.
Yeah, that's almost half your deck. And while you'd fit some of those legendaries in anyway, it really does limit you. And a Druid deck, they do have some room for some tech cards in the deck, but a lot of it's pretty straightforward.
Sure, I believe it. Well, Dog would have loved to pick up one of his heavy hitters instead of a mid-range minion that bridges the gap. But I guess he's okay with this. I think he would have been looking for Kael'Thuzad here, right? That would have been pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Instead, he's somewhat caught in an awkward situation because he can't fully remove scenarios. He's just like a little bit damage off wise from removing it. Why would you?
Style moments. Fear tactics.
Play around Clockwork Giant.
Yeah, I guess so. But
make it cost more.
Clockwork Giant starts at a 12.
I don't know. I think so.
So if you have,
maybe 10.
Does it start at 10? So if your opponent has 10 cards,
I don't play Clockwork. I don't even think I own it.
I have 1.
I never opened one. I think.
I have 6 golden bomb lobbers. Fun fact. I can't bring myself to disenchant them.
He's got almost a board clear with this swipe and a Wrath here. Just that Shaded Naxxramas. Requires him to crash the Cenarius into the 4/6, swipe the Sen'jin, and then Wrath the Big Game Hunter. But I guess if you do that sequence, you can Wrath for 1 first. So you evaluate the draw. Probably won't get any better than playing the Pilot Shredder for the remaining 4 mana. But maybe you get Thalnos. If you get Thalnos off it, that would have been insane.
Well, there's the 8-cost legendary in the deck. Sneed's Old Shredder.
So he's not playing Kael'Thuzad.
Kael'Thuzad, yeah.
That's fine. I mean, you already have Kael'Thuzad. Just get Kael'Thuzad off the Sneed.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
That is. Jade?
oh, he's dead. He took that damage. So as a result, the Saboteur just killed him.
Yeah, he didn't really have much of a choice there. He was so far behind, sitting with a dead Innervate in his hand. There was not much he could draw that would have kept. I don't think anything that he could have drawn that would have kept him in that game. So.
Yeah, he needed a big taunt minion of some
Yeah.
kind, like an Ancient of War. So Dog will be taken down here, and Druid winning yet another game. Dog has Hunter and Rogue remaining. I wonder if he's just going to flip back to his Rogue and see if it can destroy it. And if not, can the Hunter do it?
There's a possibility that all 5 games in this best of 5 will be won by a Druid. If Hype comes back 3-2, that is
There's a possibility.
a possibility.
I want to see what legendaries are in a Hunter deck because I feel like Hunter.
Whoa.
I feel like Hunter would be refined a lot to be more aggressive nowadays. So that way you can utilize the hero power the best.
Mhm.
Even if Undertaker's nerfed, that doesn't stop you from playing Wolf Rider or Arcane Golems or even Leroy Jenkins. If Leroy is one of those legendaries, what else are you playing with it? Are you playing King Mukla?
Yeah.
Are you playing? Because Mukla's a beast.
Hunters are still in a good spot. I mean, a lot of their aggressive cards that they were used in aggressive Hunter decks are still there and intact. It just doesn't allow them. The Undertaker nerf just doesn't allow them to have blowout starts. But
Which is what you want, I think, right?
yeah,
You don't want to nerf Hunter into complete irrelevance. We
No.
want 9 classes and not 8.
Yeah.
Even though I think people would definitely prefer Hunter to be not good, but I would still think it's nice to have. Excuse me. I think it's nice to have a variety of decks.
Yeah.
I don't know why I burp all the time on Cast TJ. I didn't even like eat or drink anything before we
he's
started.
been fasting for 24 hours.
That's right. I did a
Where did that
cleanse.
burp even come from?
I did a cleanse before I started casting. It's to pay. It's to pay for my atonement since I played 100 of Legend this season.
Oh God.
It's the first time I did it. I actually realized I never hit Legend with Paladin or Hunter. Next season, I'm going to do Paladin.
Okay, well,
And then after that, I've hit Legend with every class.
Paladin's in a good spot right now, so that's seems.
Yeah, it's a very
seems pretty
opportune
reasonable.
time to do it.
I remember a week ago you were saying I refuse to play Paladin.
It's just, yeah, it was so frustrating for so long because of not only the deck's power level, but also because it took too long to play Control Paladin games.
Yeah, I just don't like
Wow.
playing mirror matchups.
That is an awkward hand. That hand is so easy to destroy.
Turn 1,
Okay, well it got a lot better with Ancient of Lore.
turn 1 double innervate swipe. Well, you'd only need 1 innervate, but
Double
if you did
innervate.
it on the turn before.
Well, he can squeeze in a hero power. So does he want to turn 3 Ancient of Lore? Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I think at this point you have to, just because of the fact that your hand is terrible.
Okay. So Dog knows absolutely no wild growth. He would have played it. Save it. Harrison Jones, not that useful against Druid. Yeah. Ancient of Lore would develop his... would get 2 cards deeper into the deck. You might pick up a turn 4 play, which you don't have guaranteed. It's 2 more chances to do it.
Yeah.
Innervates get weaker the longer you hold on to it.
You know that against a lot of other classes, this Ancient of Lore would actually be pretty problematic to remove. In Rogue, not so much. But it's just something that you have to do just for the card draw.
Right.
He's got a couple different ways to do this, but I think Deadly Poison SI Agent seems to be
So many options.
It's
pretty
the most
reasonable.
resilient play for sure. Because what happens after your Deadly Poison SI7 agent, next turn you have the opportunity to eviscerate and kill off whatever is there,
Mhm.
plus use your SI7 agent to start sneaking in damage.
Yep.
The alternative of going Thalnos removal,
I wonder.
it's not really building up anything.
Yeah, because he might just hero power if he didn't have a play anyways.
Yeah. And you're going to be on 4 mana next turn anyway, so Blood Mage Eviscerate's still a possibility for the following turn. And with there, you'll already have the Deadly Poison developed and the SI agent on the board, so.
Oh man. Ah, that's a pretty ugly hand. Well, at least for now. Late game, that hand looks pretty awesome. But you made that big power play early on with the lore to pick up better cards, and you picked up 2 situational late game ones.
You picked up slower things than what you already had in your hand, which is not something that you necessarily would want. Now, rogues can be slow as well, but at the same time, you never want to fall too far behind. Because
Oh, absolutely
they
not.
can make huge plays, and especially since Hype just doesn't know. I mean, most rogues are pretty similar, but especially big players with like oils. Like if you can get like a Deadly Poison plus the oil, you can do ridiculous amounts of damage over a few turns, especially with like a Blade Flurry. So something that you always have to keep in the back of your mind.
Well, now it's like Dog's the one also in an awkward spot because now that his opponent didn't respond with an actual threat, he doesn't actually have a use for Thalanos at this turn. Thalanos would only be to absorb 2 mana from your opponent, so that way he can't play at turn 5. But at the same time, Thalanos plus Drake is just such strong possible synergies with spell power. I think this is the right play. I think you don't want to be too greedy with it, but in the end it doesn't feel great.
Stripped off Blood Mage Thanos' robes and just played him naked.
That's too bad too, because he has a really nice outfit.
He really does.
I like those shoulder pads.
Best looking. He's a skeleton. He's an undead.
He's a mage.
I
think he also
like an
is
undead
undead.
mage.
But
Best looking undead I've ever seen. Forsaken.
oh wow, Gadgetan Auctioneer. So he's got the miracle aspect of this deck down.
I've seen a lot of rogues running like 1 Auctioneer, 1 Sprint. Just because you get the more, the Sprint's more reliable. You can make bigger, like higher impact plays earlier on, like with Prep Sprint.
Right.
But Auctioneer also adds sort of like an extra depth of reliability.
True that.
Its unreliability is sort of its reliability when compared to Sprint, I guess.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. With Dog's position, I think Gadgetan can start becoming huge in a couple turns. He also has Sabotage.
Ooh.
Wow, he's actually got Prep Sabotage. The key is whether or not these boombots have huge impact. If these boombots are rolling 4, yeah, Dog's worried about this because if the boombots are rolling 4 and hits the Gadgetan Auctioneer, the turn stops here.
He's crossing his fingers.
Okay, so he draws first before the action. Boombot. No, that was really close. Wow.
Yikes.
Alright, and now he
Okay.
does kill off Dr. Boom pretty cleanly, and the Miracle Draw is here, but it is a perfect swipe target.
Still though, he's getting through his deck a little bit. Having to use swipe here is pretty much a necessity, but he's also giving up board since he has so many big drops in his hand. If he swipes here, he has nothing else to do.
Do you Force of Nature then?
Then you still have nothing else to do.
What about Druid the Claw Charge and Hero Power? I mean, it's all about conserving your resources,
Yeah.
right?
It's just which ones would you rather have later on in the game? I think Druid of the Claw would be more important. I think Force of Nature would be more important later on. I
So
think
swipe
Swipe
is the most expendable.
yeah.
You take less damage that way. Druid the Claw Charge would mean
You'd have to take 3
you have to
damage.
take some damage. Well, 4, but he'd gain 1 back.
Yeah, it's
I guess he's gonna be siding with the fact that he's not gonna try to burst his opponent.
yeah.
He's just gonna try to fight more honestly.
And so decides to fit the curve better.
It makes sense too, because next turn he has Swipe and Druid the Claw. And look at Dog's hand; it's actually not that great. He's got Black Knight for whatever comes out, but he needs to pick up a more legitimate threat here.
Yeah, everything is just
Ooh.
very situational.
That's great. And that is why you draw first, ladies and gentlemen.
And Dog actually plays really fast, and he was very, very close to
I like
throwing
it.
out that Harrison Jones.
I
So
like it.
he does pause for a second, though, make sure he evaluates the draw first, and it actually did change his plan.
So I think we'll be seeing a swipe on this Drake. It's the last of his spell power, right? He's played a Drake and a Thalnos, so no more spell power after this, no more Auctioneer.
Yeah, swipe Druid the Claw seems to be pretty easy choice.
So he'll be unhappy to see this Black Knight, because I'm assuming Black Knight's coming out here. Unless, he still can use Eviscerate. Oh, he's got Violet Teacher as well. In fact, with Violet Teacher in hand, I almost feel like you... Oh, okay. I guess this deck is a little bit tricky to talk about because it has a lot of different identity that keeps shifting the more cards we go into it.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I thought it was more of a miracle aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, if it's more board control oriented, like control rogue with making legendaries, then it keeps shifting identities on me.
Yeah. This is a really great opportunity to play Violet Teacher, I think, just because of the fact that he knows both swipes are gone.
It's
So he wants to get that out and rolling as quick as possible. Just for the token aspect. I mean, those tokens can be really problematic for Druid to be able to deal with.
4 mana, Blade Flurry is 6. If he adds another Deadly Poison, that's 7. And that gives him a clean removal with 9 on the Eviscerate. So he can remove the board here. I would imagine that's definitely what he's considering at this point.
It would cost a lot of resources, but it would give him pretty overwhelming amounts of control over the board. Lots of 1/1 tokens to boot.
Dog already has seen Dr. Boom as well in 2 swipes, so it's almost, there really is almost no way to clear these easily. He's gonna have 4 tokens.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, he chooses to leave it alive.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, the spectator delay,
Right.
it actually shows the click and turn button before the turn actually finishes. So I was like, wait a second, why did he leave it at 1 health? But gotta wait for it to finish there.
Dog's gonna keep these Eviscerates as game-ending damage.
Yeah.
He's got 8, 9 from the hero power, 12 from the tokens, plus the 7 from the 2 minions, so that's 19. So Hype has to heal here.
Yeah, and he realizes it. Goes for that plus the shade play.
No Ancient of Lores, but even if he did, it would have gotten sapped. Sap is definitely one of the scariest things about this current situation.
Wow, he's 1 damage off lethal right now.
I'm ready to look.
I think he has 20 damage.
Yeah, he has 20 damage.
Oh,
and that's
there it is.
Oh, he has to SI7 agent first. He could be careless and
Yeah, yeah.
eviscerate. If he eviscerates first, then he doesn't. He runs out of space on the board.
Yeah, well, he'd have an extra damage, so he could run one of the 1/1 tokens in. Since he's
Right.
1 above.
Oh, I guess you're right, but in terms of sequencing.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Dog takes the series, and the rogue deck from Dog ends up being the one that pushes through. Hype brought some really cool decks, but not going to be enough, and he's going to go home empty-handed. Dog's on the board as our first winner of the series and getting $1,000.
Yeah, very well played to him, and I was actually hoping to get to see more of Hype's mage deck, because it seemed really interesting. We only got to see about half of it.
Yep.
And really creative stuff, but unfortunately, he won't be moving on. Dog, he's got a rough road ahead of him, though, but he has a chance to win some big money.
He's the current king, and he'll be playing against 6-0 next from Team Archon. That'll be really fun. And keep in mind that 6-0 now will be eligible not only to win $1,000, but also to win $250 from Dog if he takes it. Because as the day progresses, every winner of a new series has an opportunity to steal 25% of the loser's prize pool. Really cool stuff.
Taking money right out of his pocket.
Also, a quick shout out to 6-0 because he qualified through this from the open bracket. We didn't invite everybody. We had an open fireside trial. And who do you know? 6-0 qualified through it once again and got to the top. So that shouldn't be surprising, right?
Yeah, really great stuff, too. Zixo known to be one of the most impressive ladder players. He was the first player to hit Legend in a lot of seasons. So going through those open brackets is sort of a similar style to ladder. And it's just really impressive stuff to see players that are pretty popular that have made a name for themselves already still managed to qualify through a more open bracket.
Now, the series is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors and partners over at Newegg Esports. Check out all their cool stuff for Western Digital, Crucial. They do a lot of memory things, hard drives and space and SSDs. And of course, Cooler Master, which I've been using Cooler Master case for years. And maybe thinking about building a new PC. Maybe I'll look at something like that. Also, Plantronics has been signing with us at the end of Season 1. I want to thank them for doing a great job. They're giving away 2 rig headset gear, as well as 50
packs?
50 packs. And you guys can find out more of how to get that giveaway during the break, as well as what's going on with The Seventh Son. That movie is going to be premiering on February 6th, 2015. There's a reason why we're giving away $1,000 to each winner, $7,000 prize pool with 7 matches and 7 legendaries. It's all about The Seventh Son. They're actually sponsoring us. It's a really cool thing that's happening, and it's very special because it's happening to Hearthstone. Let alone of all kinds of broadcasts here at ESL.
Yeah, I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised to hear that they were sponsoring
really,
us last week.
Sponsor Hearthstone.
Yeah.
All right.
And
We'll gladly take your money and give it away.
yeah, you mentioned they were just down the street as well. Their production studios, the Legendary Films.
Yeah,
Legendary Films, yeah.
I will probably go watch it next week or something like that in honor of what's going on.
For sure.
Well, we're going to take a few minutes, and when we come back, we're going to have our second match of the Master Builder King of the Hill Series, week number 2. Stay tuned.